All right, so the Obama administration, their spying scandal continues to grow. Now, yesterday, Sharyl Attkisson wrote an op-ed in The Hill. It was entitled, "It looks like Obama did spy on Trump, just as he apparently did me." Now, as we told you earlier in the program, sources telling Fox News the former UN ambassador Samantha Power was unmasking Americans almost one a day. Joining us now with the reaction is the author of The Smear, the host of Full Measure, Sharyl Attkisson, and from the American Center for Law and Justice, and President Trump's attorney, Jay Sekulow. Sharyl, I just want to hand it to you because you're right, it did happen. This unmasking at a level we never even imagined before. I want people to hear your story because this is so important.
Well, mine began before we heard about what the government had done to Associated Press and Fox News, before Edward Snowden. I had intel sources come to me and suggest that I was likely being monitored by the intel community or by certain actors in the Obama administration because of the stories I was doing. Long story short, some people in the intel community helped me because they thought this was so egregious, had forensics done on my computers, multiple computers from CBS and my personal computers, and 3 independent exams have seen and proven forensics that they used government proprietary software to monitor my keystrokes, planted confidential classified documents in my computer, watched much of what I was doing, exfiltrated files, listened in on my audio. We have dates, times, and methods for a lot of this, as well as government-owned IP addresses found in my computer.
Jay Sekulow, this is not the country that I know with Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable search and seizure.
Yeah.
Though that sounds to me like the weaponizing of the tools of intelligence to attack people they don't like or political opponents.
Well, we know that was in fact what happened. So let's be clear about a couple things. Our friend James Rosen, what happened to Sharyl, what happened to others. The idea that you would utilize the intelligence community to spy on your enemies domestically, which, again, is not only outrageous, but it's illegal. Couple that with the fact, and we now know this, the unmasking that was going on. And by the way, the UN ambassador, Samantha Power's, unmasking basically almost a person a day, and it especially picked up towards the end of their political run, if you will, at the end of their term, President Obama's term. Ask yourself this question. Why did they decide at that point to quickly start unmasking? And that means, by the way, we're talking about American citizens as well, that are being unmasked by the UN ambassador. Now, she served in the National Security Council. Well, that's great. But the fact is, this unmasking, which was supposed to have not take place often, was supposed to utilize minimum or minimization techniques. Apparently, these were advisory rules for the previous administration rather than the actual rules and laws that apply. And I think the tragedy in all of this is the American people are the ones that pay the consequence.
So if Samantha Power, Susan Rice, Ben Rhodes, and again, in the case of Samantha Power, unmasking a person a day, when did that become the role of the UN ambassador? That's beyond bizarre, and that's unprecedented, and that raises questions. This was all political. But here's my question. With all the nonstop chatter in the media about Russia, 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 it's clear they've now got a big target on Paul Manafort, for example. But then you've got all those people unmasking, surveillance, intelligence leaking a crime. You got all of Hillary Clinton's felonies. We've been over this many, many times. Then you got a leak a day. Then you got Mueller and Rosenstein and Comey. Where is the Congress? Where is the special counsel? What is the attorney general doing here? And shouldn't he be playing a big role in investigating what seems to be real crimes and maybe constitutional violations, like in the case of Sharyl?
Well, look, I think that, first of all, they may be doing that. I mean, Sean, if it was done properly, if there's an investigation going on, we would not know that. So I would hope that the whole aspect of the leaking scandal that has taken place now for months and months and months, including conversations that the president had with foreign leaders. I mean, this is not something that should be tolerated in any administration, no matter what your political leaning is. I mean, this is just, frankly, illegal again and outrageous. But we know that it was taking place. So what we're hopeful is that there is actually an investigation going on. I don't know this for a fact. It's speculation on my part. I don't have any independent knowledge of it. But you necessarily would not. So you would not necessarily know that there was. So you can be hopeful that there is, in fact, an ongoing investigation, and that this aspect of leaking national security matters will stop.
Sharyl, I've had good people in the intelligence community that told me I was unmasked. I've never been able to corroborate that. I have no idea if that's ever happened. I'm watching what happened to you, and you can give dates and times. What recourse, as a citizen with constitutional rights, do you have, because you can prove your case?
Not much. I mean, the only reason I can prove it is because I had help from people inside the Obama intel community that thought this was so egregious. They gave me the tools that I wouldn't normally have had to find this information forensically. I have a 2.5-year-old lawsuit. There's a hearing tomorrow, in fact, against the Department of Justice, which the current Department of Justice continues to fight. Rather than directing them to tell the truth, follow the law, and get at the facts, they're continuing to fight this in federal court. That's the only recourse. Most people can't do that. It's very expensive and time-consuming. It's very hard to sue the government. You have to go through a lot of processes, get permission. It's almost insurmountable.
All right. We will continue our investigation.